Allow me to ask you this. Are you currently looking for a set of workout earbuds with ear hooks but can't stand the bulk or the weight that usually comes with the territory? Or have you been waiting for Soundcore to follow up with a newer Spirit 2? Or are you just looking for a well-made noise-canceling bass-thumping earbud to throw around in your backpack? In any of those cases, you might find something to like about the Soundcore Sport X10. In this video, I'll be sharing my findings on whether the X10 should be at or near the top of your shopping list. Yes, and I've spent some extended time with it, get it, over the past few weeks, during which I've subjected it to some extensive testing. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get this, guys. I'm going to start off with some high-level specs. If you like a whole lot more detail and a much closer-up look at the earbuds, the case, and what's in the box, and also the app, I did an unboxing video. I'll link it up here in case you're interested in checking that out. But anyways, this thing runs $80 and it comes in 3 different colors. There's black, this one, oak white, as well as red. And it rocks noise cancellation, transparency, and mono modes. There's no wear detection. There's Bluetooth 5.2 with support for AAC and SBC, no aptX either. But arguably one of the highlights of the X10 is this thing right here, the rotating and stowable ear hooks. Really easy to use. There's IPX7 water resistance. There's 3 mics per side, by the way, that handles phone calls and noise suppression. As well as the weight is 6.6 grams. It's really light for this form factor. And in the business end of things, there's a 10mm driver complemented by Soundcore's bass up tuning. And I'll talk more about sound quality later on. Now, the factory states 6 hours of battery life with ANC on, although I was able to extend that out, get it, to about 6.3 hours with ANC on at 65% volume. And again, I have to remind you that the case does not come with wireless charging. And in terms of controls, there's no touch controls here. It just uses a button on each side for the left and the right. And since we're here, let's do the shake test. And what this does is basically demonstrates, in case you drop these on the floor, whether the earbuds go flying all over the place or if the magnets are strong enough to keep this in place. And look how quickly it is to stow this one-handed. I can pop open the lid one-handed, and this folds over also one-handed, and I just store it like that. That's so awesome. The lid kind of sort of locks in place. It's still kind of floppy, so I'm going to hold it open. And yeah, the magnets are kind of sort of weak, so thumbs down nonetheless. So we're outside for the next 2 or 3 segments. The first one is the Bluetooth range test. Then we'll talk a little bit about the fit, and then the microphone test for phone calls. Right now I have Blood by Lemonade by Morshiba playing on a Deezer right here on my Pixel 6. I placed this at the end of my deck because we're going to do the range test, walk from the back of my house towards the side around the corner, and then we'll see when these start cutting out and then have a complete signal loss. So where I am, just for reference, standing right now is around 25 feet away from the phone. It's still right there. Hey, how you guys doing? So we're going to keep walking this way, and let's see. These don't have Qualcomm chips, but 5.2, Bluetooth 5.2 should last around 40 something feet before we get any kind of signal loss. Oh my goodness, it's still going strong. Oh, there you go. It's around 48 feet, 46, 48 feet. So that's not bad at all. But I want to keep walking until we get a disconnect tone and see how that goes. Right now, yeah, music is unintelligible, it's pointless, but just for fun, I want to see how or when this thing's could disconnect. I'm at by the roadside. I just got a disconnect tone. It's around 62, 63 feet right there. So that's not bad. And then there's a house in between us and the phone, let's not forget. So not bad at all. So you can see, check out how these things fit on my head, guys. It's really compact for an over-the-ear hook kind of earbud or earphone. It sits at least on my ear canal about 2 to 2.5 millimeters, depending. My left side is, you can probably directly see, it's a little bit closer to my skull. This one's about maybe 0.5 millimeter away. So I'm gonna run, and you can see how these things are so secure. It's not even funny. I'm running extremely fast. So we had some technical issues right there. I ran so fast that my tripod collapsed. So yes, that's what you get for running like Usain Bolt. But these things, I'll tell you what, they're super stable. Yeah, nothing, no pressure points or pain whatsoever during my run. So that's pretty good. Anyways, let's head down to the road right now to test the mics on these. I'm kind of curious how this Chinese made chipset handles noise suppression during phone calls. So let's do it. Okay, we're down by the road right now, and here comes some traffic, so you can hear for yourselves how these things sound with noise suppression. Personally, I'm not too impressed. I think this is one of the very few times that Soundcore has dropped the ball. Here comes a Volvo. You can hear how that sounds. Yeah, right now it's also quiet. You can also hear it doesn't get any better. My voice sounds kind of pitchy. There's not much bass. And when noise is trying to be suppressed, you can hear how garbled and like it's underwater or something. And one thing, here comes more traffic, but I'm going to keep talking a little bit about during phone calls. Usually Soundcores have been always good about, you know, if you're in noise cancelling mode, it goes into transparency for safety. But I think this is where some reviewers have pointed out, and we saw a second ago, that the app in noise cancellation and transparency, it's in beta. So right now during phone calls, this is how it behaves. It won't go into transparency or a noise cancelling. If you try to force it, it will say, let's keep it at normal for phone calls only. So I'm not sure if this will change over time, especially transparency mode, because I like that in terms of a safety feature. Like when you get phone calls, it goes in transparency so you can hear your surroundings. But oh, here comes an 18-wheeler. You can hear for yourselves how these things handle sound better. There you go. How's that? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Soundcore, I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about too, I didn't show you this a second ago earlier on. I'm gonna fold this back and show you how these things, how easy they are to install in your ear. So right now, this is how you'll get it out of the case. It's folded up, and like this, you slot it in your ears, and then you fold the hooks upwards and hook it around your ear, and that's it. That's how easy it is to put on your in your ears. Just take it out of the case. You don't have to worry about the hooks at all. Just slot it in. It stays in place, and then you rotate the hook over your ears, and that's it. So in terms of putting these on and taking them off, like right now, one-handed, I fold it down and take it out of my ears and done. But in terms of what we just heard a second ago down by the road, not too impressed with the noise suppression here. All you have to do is hold up any earhook equipped earbud or case in your palm or in your hand, and you'll quickly realize how much less space the X10 takes up. To me, it's about bloody time. Yes, I'll admit, this thing is missing some pretty de facto things that we're used to nowadays, like wireless charging or wear detection, but what it does have is pretty impressive. Let's not forget, this is $80 and it nets you noise cancelling, and Soundcore makes one of the best apps out there in terms of customization, tunability, as well as frequency of firmware updates. And let's not forget, the form factor. This was one of my biggest complaints about the Powerbeats Pro, about the case, how big it was and heavy, as well as the earbuds too, and with these, finally, someone seems to be listening. This next one was a tough call, I'll tell you what, but I'm gonna have to slap sound quality, get this, in the neutral territory. Yeah, I know, when was the last time we heard Soundcore's sound quality not in the positives? And here we are. Don't get me wrong though, some of you will like the detail and playfulness when listening to something like Glide by Mitski. Listening to that song, there's some of that trademark Soundcore warmth that many of us are familiar with, working in the background for sure, but unfortunately, there's just not enough of it here to convince me, to convince you, that this is any better than, say, a Soundcore Live P3 that coincidentally costs the same nowadays, let alone the Powerbeats Pro that the company was definitely targeting with its marketing material. But what really gets me every single time, guys, is the bass up tuning. The bass up rumble is definitely there. It's strong, it's composed, but at least to my ears, it's the kind of rumble that reminds me of cheap subwoofers that people install in the back of their Hondas. You know that kind of bass? And another problem is, and this is a big one, it always seems to be on, even with bass up turned off in the toggle switch and the low frequencies in the EQ knocked all the way down. I cannot seem to get rid of it. Believe me, I've tried it. As much as I prefer buttons over touch controls on earbuds, the ones on the X10s not only resemble little nubbins on the top right here, which is a real pain to use for those with larger fingers, but at the same time, the feedback for the button presses are also too shallow. Half of the time I either don't know if I've actually executed a command or whether I've completely buggered up the entire tap sequence. $80 is a good price, but personally, after considering everything, the overall performance and some of the missing features, the passable phone call quality that we heard earlier, yeah, it's cringeworthy. I think $65, $70 would have been the sweet spot for me. And it is possible that inflation and supply issues are to blame here for the price. On the flip side, if you do compare this directly with the Powerbeats Pro, it's a no contest in terms of price. The Beats currently retail for $200, and this thing, let's not forget, $80. So I guess maybe this does belong in the positives after all. Yeah, I can't decide because, you know, I'm not very good at my job. The Soundcore Sport X10 is a mixed bag for me, y'all. It has tons of features, it looks great, it has one of the best app experiences out there, and my favorite bit is how the compactness and the flip-out ear hooks just work, no problem whatsoever. However, it would have been great if the boomy bass could have been completely turned off and the microphones had better noise suppression. It just goes to show that, yes, you can throw everything but a kitchen sink at it, but at this price, some things have gotta give. Still, that being said, it's way better than spending like $200 on a Powerbeats, isn't it? So with all that said, I'm gonna give the Soundcore Sport X10 a Gear Up score of 8.3 out of 10. And this is how I broke it down to get the final score. If you have any questions about it, feel free to comment down below. Well, that's it for the X10 full review. And Soundcore did send this to me, by the way, but everything you saw right here or watched today is my honest opinion. They didn't sway me whatsoever. If you'd like to see more videos like this, remember to visit often, and also remember to thumbs up if you like it, comment nicely down below, subscribe, share it with your friends and family, get me to 50,000 subs, visit my Patreon page to support me financially if you like to. And remember guys, to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because if you haven't noticed the news, the world needs it more than ever. And it starts with you. I love y'all very much. Thank you for watching this. God bless. Whoosh.